everybody, I'm Jeff Bower.
And I'm Joey Marino. Welcome to Actor Chats.
This week we have our first part with Tim Phillips.
If you don't know Tim Phillips, he's an on-camera acting coach in Los Angeles, and he has a great book, Audition for Your Career, Not the Job.
In this segment, Tim talks about his relationship with Robert Duvall, how he became a teacher, and humanizing the work.
Actor Chats with acting coach Tim Phillips. So I'm very excited today on Actor Chats. We have the lovely, the talented Tim Phillips.
Lovely, I like that.
And he has the best hair in the business. Look at that. That's crazy. Well, I'm really excited today. Tim Phillips is a master teacher. I've had the pleasure of studying with him, and I just love his work. And he has a book out called Audition for Your Career, Not the Job, Mastering the On-Camera Audition. And Actor Chats welcomes Tim Phillips.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
So usually with Actor Chats, we begin, our first question is kind of like I'm a superhero kind of nerd, so I like to call it the origin story, because every good superhero has an origin story. So for you, what was that moment growing up where you knew entertainment or acting was where you wanted to be?
There never was that moment.
Never, okay.
I'm working on an autobiography now called My Accidental Life.
Okay.
And it's literally, I just fell into things. I'm a hedonist by nature. And I went, oh, this is fun. Why don't I do this? And that's literally how it all unfolded. I was a bartender in New York for many, many years, and one of the waitresses there said, you should be an actor. And I said, get away from me. I'm a bartender, I don't want to be an actor. And she bugged me until she said, come and sit in on my acting class with Robert Patterson in New York, who was a Meisner teacher. I said, okay, I gave in, and I sat in the class, I audited the class, and I got hooked. But I was 33 years old when that happened.
Wow, yeah.
So I didn't start young. Just unfolded from there, and then I met Robert Duvall, because my scene partner in the acting class she was dating Robert Duvall at the time, later became his wife. And now ex-wife, but she introduced me to Bobby, and Bobby said, I'm doing a film called Angelo, my love, and I need a teacher. Do you want to do the part? And then he said, no, it's too small. It's too small part. I said, yes. I mean, what do you mean too small?
There are no small actors.
Yeah, so 6 hours later, I was on the set.
Oh, wow.
Shooting his film, and we were having lunch, and he came over and sat down. I went, oh no, okay, this is when he's going, you know, Tim, thank you so much, but
Oh yeah.
you know,
That fear.
and he said, wow, you're good. And I said, thank you. And he said, just keep it up. And we had a little conversation about acting, just me and he over some chicken wings. So, and then it just grew from there. And here I am.
Well, how did you change from acting, or did you, like you said, you just kind of followed what you were interested in? But when did you say, okay, maybe teaching though?
In '81, I came out here to Los Angeles to do a project from New York, and friends of mine had moved here to become rich and famous, and they asked me to help them with their auditions. And I went, wow, this is really fun. This stuff is fun. Acting was okay, and I acted for a few more years. But I really got hooked and knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I started teaching in '83, and whatever year this is, that's how long I've been doing it. And it's just, every day I wake up and go, wow, look what I get a chance to do. So, which is a paraphrase of Robert Duvall's, one of the most important things he ever said to me was, look who I get a chance to be. That's the reason to act, that's the reason to go to the audition, is you and your character, because the business, whatever the business is out there, is not part of you. So look who I get a chance to be. And that's every day when I have students in here, I get to play all the roles.
And you have somebody coming in today, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I do.
To coach them privately?
Yep.
Or?
Yeah, she'll be here. I do a phone session at noon from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
I work a lot on the phone.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I have 2 o'clock today.
Terrific.
Working on a play, actually.
You're working on a...
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the play is. She's going to bring it in.
Interesting. That's interesting. Primarily, your book, which I'm fascinated with, the on-camera. How did that evolve for you to want to take on the on-camera experience specifically?
I moved out here to LA in 2005, and I was basically teaching auditions for years and for about 25 years in New York, auditions for theater, because theater is my first love. And I came out here to Los Angeles and wanted to teach and here. And I realized that most of the auditions that my students were bringing in were for film and television. And in those auditions, they were being put on camera. So, natural, I'm a little bright. And I said, well, why don't we put them on camera here?
Exactly.
And my reputation grew from there. And I really had to invent in the last 9 years, a technique that's specific to on-camera auditioning. And I invented a few things, all Meisner based from the repetition exercise. But I built on that ways to do an audition on camera where you don't upstage yourself with all kinds of strange behavior that they can't see because the audition camera is a close-up. So I can remember Bobby Duvall complaining about a director he was working with and how everything was a close-up, 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 and that was 20 years ago. Now there are more close-ups than ever, especially for television. Then I wrote the book. I couldn't have written the book before.
It's a very readable book. Sometimes technique books or things like that, they're kind of dry, but it's very readable, and everything you could almost write a chapter on one line that you have within them.
Well, that was my main concern. I'm not fond of acting books. I don't think you can learn acting from a book. Larry Moss's book, a student of mine that came out here and became famous as an acting coach, Larry Moss, his book Intent to Live is a good book. There's a few out there, and I resisted writing a book for a long time because I went, oh no, Michael Shirtlift, that's the audition book. It's been around for 100 years. But Shirtlift's book is basically aimed at theater. And so I found a writer, Stephanie Gunning, and we worked for 3.5 years.
Wow.
A lot of discussions on the phone. She came to all of my classes in New York because I travel all over the country now, but back and forth to New York. She got my voice, and that's what I was concerned about. Yes. Some of the expletives that I use, not all of them are in the book, but most of them, because I have a potty mouth. That's how I express myself.
You can't be a bartender with that. Let a few of those things fly.
That's true. The original title of the book, I said to Stephanie, okay, this is the title of the book. This shit really works. And she said, I am not writing using that title.
That's funny.
So we came up with this title, which is accurate. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I'm known for here in Los Angeles and all over now.
Coming off the Meisner repetition and such, and then you sort of had to invent your own way, and you used kind of your own, I don't know if it's a metaphor, but the Sherlock Holmesing the script, which you must be a ferocious reader because I don't know, it's a really good way into it, of describing it and a way into it. Sherlock Holmesing the script, and even the cover has a profile of Sherlock Holmes with his pipe and
I was a Sherlock Holmes not many years ago, but I was in a bar as a patron with Bill Hurt and a few other boys back in the late 70s, early 80s, and we were all drinking and whatever. And he said, to be a good actor, you have to be a goddamn good detective. And that stuck with me because script analysis, script interpretation didn't quite make it for me.
Really?
So when I began working on scripts, I would work on it as a detective, and I would find all the clues, just like Sherlock Holmes, and let those clues float around for a while and then put them together at the end, instead of making what most actors do, is make choices too early. because they're terrified about the audition process, and if they just know their lines, then they'll be okay and all of that. And you leave out the humanity. So I thought, well, what do detectives do? They bring all the clues together and then form a conclusion from which to craft and solve the crime. And I said, in a sense, that's what we do as actors. We're given 3 or 4 pages of sides. Half the time we don't have the whole script. 3 or 4 pages of sides. What do I do now? Well, if I just learn my lines, then I'm done.
And I think a lot of actors do that too. I mean, I've done, you get in a panic and all of a sudden you're just trying to memorize the lines and getting frantic, and all of a sudden, what did I just do?
Exactly.
And then you're in there and it didn't go well.
And then you're not present for that audition because you're worried about outside factors.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can get away with that in a theater audition a little bit because of the distance. But the camera is a 2T shot. It's a boobs up frame. That's what 2T means, by the way, as you know.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
a 2-tit shot. So, and that's what you have here. Well, what's it going to see? It's going to see your eyes. So if you're trying to remember your lines, that's what the camera is going to see, is blank, dead eyes, and you're trying to remember, so you're not even present.
So it's going to pick up that whether you know or...
Yeah, so, but from the Sherlock Holmesing, then what I began to stress, and I still stress it in my lectures around the country, and that is pictures. We human beings carry our history with us in pictures. So if I would ask you guys, well, where did you go to high school? You did go to high school, so there was a picture. So you experienced going to high school, and you could talk about it. You could talk about it for hours because you experienced it. So how do I get an actor to experience the script by themselves, sitting in their car before they go into the audition, or sitting in the subway or whatever before they go into the audition? Well, if you're reading it and you're seeing the pictures, you're giving yourself your character's history. And your pictures are as real as reality in terms of brain science and all that kind of stuff. So I put all of that together, and that's what we do. We literally create the pictures as we're going through.
Well, you bring up an interesting point in terms of, I was looking at some Stanislavski and Stan the Man, and but it was some of those things, I don't know if methodologies or certain things work for everybody. And the thing that I noted when, I started here, just when we were going over a script, I just think of this right now. I have trouble reading, and I said I'm a little bit dyslexic, and you said, let's work on that. I'm going to slow you down.
Right.
And what I was thinking, Jeff's a teacher, and I was thinking he taught in the Florida school system.
7 years. 7 years in high school and college there for a bit.
And he was talking to me about dealing with students, and I think empathy, is that a big part of what you do when you come in here? I find you that way.
Well, I think that's in terms of me, I get a chance to do all the characters. So and all I really care about is you.
Right.
I'm not fond of the business, or I'd still be in it probably. But all I care about is the individual artist, and that's why some people will be in class and with the same script, just by accident or the same audition, and one will say, "Well, you told her X, Y, and Z, but you didn't tell me." And I said, "Yeah, but you're 2 different people. So you're an artist. You're not just a wind-up doll." And I'm going to use what I know will work for you and take you on that journey, because your journey is going to be different than hers. So they eventually get that.
And sometimes in analyzing a script, I can only speak from personal experience, but sometimes I'm a thinker at times, and a lot of times. And I think some of the stuff that you bring, this humanizing, it almost goes to the way our brain actually works. Because instead of, like, sometimes when you set up super objectives and all these things like, I want to fuck this girl, and well, that's always the case. Usually, but the truth of it is I'm not sitting there, if I'm flirting with a girl, I might be flirting with her because I really find her attractive, but I'm like, boy, I want to sleep with her, I want to sleep with her. And if I did that, it'd be nuts.
Of course.
And so, but sometimes the brain, in that approach of intentionality, believe me, it works great for some people because they're able to let that go or whatever they do. But I find setting simple things for myself, simple, doable things, it kind of helps for me.
I was taught, Robert Patterson, Meisner teacher in New York, I was taught what Sandy taught him, which was what you want to get the person to feel or do. And after I got out in the real world, I realized that was so one note, that it was like me having a hammer and hitting just one nail until I got what I wanted. So there was an insistence to my work, and I saw other actors who worked that way, and there was an insistence in their work. as opposed to allowing them to just live in the moment. So I turned it around, and what I teach is what you want to get the person to understand about you. It's very personal. Then they will do what they want, what you want them to do. So getting you to understand that I'm the best teacher in the world. Now, we can improvise all through that. But to get you to believe me, how do we know? Do you see what I mean? It's because it's the belief is, I have to watch it. Are you believing? And then I have to push to make sure that you're believing
You're hitting
me.
on it because
Exactly,
because the watching gets to be, am I accomplishing my objective?
Yes.
But you never know.
Right.
And then you're confused, and then it takes you totally out of it,
That's
and then
right.
you're thrown up into your head thinking if I'm lousy as an actor and whatever.
Well, I think, frankly, that's what we do. How I developed this is, as a bartender, I was watching guys come into a bar where I worked at, and it was a singles bar, basically. It's where guys came
What
in
a
to get
great
laid.
thing.
Exactly. Exactly. This is my example. 3 guys come into the bar. They all want to get laid. You know that. Okay. But they go about it differently. Well, if they all want to get laid, why aren't they the same? Because they're individually different. So then I began to explore that. So one guy says, hey, honey, can I buy you a... No, you probably don't want to... Well, I'm not really... So they have all of this behavior to try to get her to understand that I'm not really very good at this. You understand? And that's the behavior. Then you have another guy that goes, yo, baby, what you drinking?
Right.
So what if they both want to get laid, why is the behavior different?
Interesting.
And then I realized the guy goes, yo, baby, you want to get laid? Do you understand? You want to drink? I'm the best you'll ever have, bitch.
The misogynist.
So that's what creates the behavior, is what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not what you want. Hand me that glass. Is you can trust me. Can I have a drink? Do you understand? Then you will hand me the glass. So I just turned it around. And boy, I tell you, that has been...
It was
works
just like
really
that old
well.
paradigm shift that they
Yep.
talk about. That
Yep.
it was just like boom.
And it's all because of the real world. Everything I teach is really what everyone does in real life all the time.
I was thinking about that, which I think is an incredible idea. And as one of the guys from the Crazy Ones, I told him about it, and he was actually using it.
Good.
Was humanizing.
Oh.
And could you describe a little
best.
bit about that?
Well, most actors worry about their auditions, try to remember the last time they were in the office and did they like me, did they not like me? Boy, I really need this job. Did I feed the dog? Did I turn off the gas? So we build this mountain of doubt for ourselves before we walk into the audition. Well, that's human. I mean, we're
Yes.
normal human beings, and
Absolutely.
we're terrified going in to be judged.
Shit.
So I invented this improvisational way of talking about your character out loud from character. I've always liked this girl. Hope my wife doesn't find out. What the hell? There's nothing going on with us anyway. And just
Out
riff
loud.
out loud.
Out loud.
Always
Is
do
that
it out
that's
loud.
the key there?
Everything that I teach you should do out loud because out loud words exist. Thought words don't. And people go, well, they kind of do. I said, no. There's 3 words that when you say it to somebody that you're dating, you can think I love you, but until you say it, it doesn't exist. But when you do say it, everything changes.
Big. That's
Out loud.
big.
Then those are 3 words, I love you. Then there's 2 words that really change your life, and they're called I do. So, and then there's other words later was I don't. So yeah, you have to do it out loud. If you start thinking, the mind will have you protecting yourself, which is basically what the mind is for, is to protect the biology. So it bends reality all the time in order to protect you. But if it's out of your mind, if you just say it out here, then the mind doesn't have a chance to bend and protect you and lie to you, basically.
Interesting. So what would humanizing look if, let's say you have a script, and I'm trying to think of a script or some scene. How would you humanize that in the car or in the waiting room of an? How would you do it?
You actually do that in your real life, except quite often you just think it. So you
That's
just
right.
put your thoughts out there for real. I mean, all the things that you thought of driving over here today, all the things in your head, if you'd actually said them out loud.
Like,
that
let me
would-
do a little bit of it. And
Yeah.
see if this is- Hey Jeff, how's it going? Oh boy, now I'm thinking. I hope this goes well. I've sent Tim Phillips 5 emails, and then I sent him one. Should we be early? Then I'm confusing, and I should have just said this. Do you think I probably overdid it? He doesn't want Starbucks, by the way.
Yeah, that's
that kind of
humanizing.
thing.
And you can't be uptight and do that at the same time. It's a form. The result is the anxiety level begins to decrease. And you walk into the room already having done the scene. So you walk in with a very strong sense of character. Another Robert Duvall quote, by the way, is, if I'm in character, I can do no wrong. I can do it differently, but I won't be wrong. And wrong means untruthful. So your job as an actor is to, every time you act, is to be truthful. Not worry about your choice.
You know, some actors seem to, worry about that choice, whether, like you said, it's going to be right, or they don't really make a choice.
Right.
You know, that's one great actor I know who said, I've been accused of not ever making any choices.
Right.
So what does it really mean to make a choice?
Well, I think that, first of all, the writer is the one who wrote the Bible, and you've got it in your hands, those 3 or 4 pages of sides. So you can't take that and impose something from the moon on that, because then they look at you like, well, how arrogant are you? You know, why did you bring this choice? That doesn't make any sense at all. So if you're working from the text, which is the Bible, people are what they do, people are what they say. So there's a lot of clues in there, and you go to that part of yourself. In New York, I taught complete character work because of doing all the period pieces and Shakespeare and all of that kind of stuff. But out here, when you're literally doing everyday life for the most part, grim notwithstanding, then what do? They just say, and a lot of my students get this kind of comment. Well, just be yourself. What part of myself do you want? Because just being myself doesn't make sense to me. I can do that. I can just say the words, then they don't matter, and I don't care, and you don't care, and we just wasted all of our time. So what casting people tell me is that 9 out of 10 actors coming into an audition are ill-prepared. 9 out of 10. Can you imagine 50 actors and you only get 5?
That's a hard day for those guys.
That's my point. Exactly my point. So what do you do? How can you come in? Well, what you want from me creates who you are today in our relationship. So that's a big start. What you want to get me to understand about you.
Relationship is a term that I think is fascinating. Your relationship to many things. And
Absolutely.
What is that? What was that?
All acting, and this is a Meisner quote, all acting is too fore and off of an object of your behavior. It's absolutely crucial. So you express yourself through objects. That's actually what we really do in life. I notice every once in a while he's looking down here, and see how
Checking
everything
the
is
sound
going.
gauge.
But his point of view makes it real.
Yes.
Well, what if there was nothing there and there was a camera over here? People would believe that he's actually looking at something when in fact there's nothing there.
And it would also, they would all definitely wonder, he couldn't just do that arbitrarily, because then they go, why is he looking down?
Then he's schmacting.
He's schmacking, yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he's really doing something.
Yes.
And objects are absolutely crucial in everything that you do as an actor. Don't forget that, everything we do, even plays, are compressions of time, space, and reality. So it's not normal life. Normal life is flat and lazy with some peaks and valleys. But when you're doing an hour drama, there's a lot of peaks.
Yes.
So compressions of time, space, and reality. So you don't have the luxury of the pause. Everybody talks in theater talks about the Pinter pause.
The Pinter
Well,
pause. I know, right?
Pinter wrote those in there, and they really do mean something. And he wrote the dialogue before and after that guides you to that pause. And if you don't honor it, he gets pissed off.
So that concludes our first part with Tim Phillips.
Let's do the Pinter pause.
Yeah, nice long one. Be sure to tune in next week. That was good, right?
Dramatic.
Be sure to tune in next time when Tim talks about acting in a close-up, auditioning, and relationships with objects.
This has been Actor Chats with Tim Phillips.